Eve?
Um,
Oh, I thought it's a real parrot. Steve. Oh, okay, it's a nice one.
okay,
So, don't worry. Sometimes in the class, I'll ask you, what do you think Steve will do? What would Steve do?
okay.
So, in your head, ooh, this is very nice. This is a very important tool in understanding the word persona. Now, every child or everyone who has a toy like this must have created a persona for that toy in their minds.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Right? Yeah, that's what children do. That's what. So they take two lives. Ooh, what do you think? Ooh, I think that. So the personas are interacting in the hands of the baby or of the owner of the dolls. That's what's going on. That's what's happening. Yeah. Interacting persona. Now, the world is your oyster. Can you read this?
Okay, playing with idioms. The world is your oyster means you can do anything. Changing it to lobster is a joke to make you laugh.
Yes. And now, why do you think that will be funny?
In my perspective, I think that's
Perspective.
my perspective, I think that this is funny is because probably this K just forgot that it's oyster and remembers that it's something that has stir, so he said lobster.
Lobster. Yeah. I think it also speaks to people like me who don't like oysters but love lobsters. I love lobsters, crabs, prawns, blah, blah, blah. Right? So, oysters look, and many people like that, it looks yuck. That's oysters. But lobsters are quite, respected by most people. So, I think that's what it's trying to do, and it's a good one. It's a good job. Now, what makes a genius? Sorry, let's go on.
Okay, so did I read?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, how do I know? Well, I've looked at the stories of 100 billion people who have ever lived on Earth, and I've chosen 10 brilliant people who have changed the world. And they all had one thing in common. That's right, they all picked their nose. But they also had a second thing in common. They were just ordinary people who one day thought, oh, I've got an idea.
That's an amazing reading technique, and I love it. That's good. Now, let's look at the second paragraph here. The second paragraph. Now, it's funny. Do you agree it's funny?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think it's funny, and why do you think he wrote it that way?
I think he wrote it that way first to make people laugh. Second, to make people know that they probably weren't they probably weren't good at. So there's 10 people he found probably weren't good at everything. For example, if they all picked their nose, that means they aren't really good at they aren't really they're good at writing, but they're not really good at having good habits all the time. And
okay.
This also reflects this K thinks that they picked their nose and they're really cool, and they're funny, so he chose them.
Okay, that's an amazing conclusion, and that's really correct. It helps you know that it's just to say being a genius is not far fetched. Okay,
Okay.
it's just to let you know geniuses are just ordinary people that then do something. Okay.
Okay.
Now then, of course, it says, "Ooh." They one day thought, "Ooh, I've got an idea." So, what is the true difference? Let's just answer this question here.
Okay. According to the text, what is the true difference between an ordinary person and a brilliant one?
Yeah.
The true difference is that first of all, they look different. Like, they should have different hair color or different appearances on their face. And secondly, maybe an ordinary person didn't invent anything or wrote a book or anything.
Okay. You see, according to the text, now remember what we said Kay was trying to achieve here. Kay was trying to achieve something by bringing down the bar, or at least making the bar look shorter. That, hey, being a genius is not something impossible for every other person. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's right, all these geniuses all picked their noses. That means you pick your nose, the genius picks your nose, there's literally no difference. You're just about the same thing. So what's the difference? The difference is that they said, ooh, I've got an idea. Now, did they stop there? No. It says they were ordinary people who suddenly had an, ooh, I've got an idea moment, and they worked and worked and worked really hard and never gave up. So that means the ordinary person and the brilliant one or the genius, they're just the same person, but different characters. Okay? So that means the ordinary person can become the genius if he also does what the genius is doing. Simple. Do you get it now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. And is he getting successful? Yeah. That's really working. All right, let's move on. The brain puzzle. Ready?
Okay, were they born brilliant? The brilliance burst out
Yes.
like a beautiful butterfly emerging from a cocoon, or some beautiful pus squirting from a spot. They were people who worked really hard and didn't give up. They didn't even start out particularly brilliant. None of them were painting Mona Lisa or inventing the internet while they were still wearing nappies.
Now, this young man has started again with his funny way of writing that can be on the edge. There's something some people find funny and other people find disgusting. Come on, what is this? Some beautiful pus squirting from his butt. How is that beautiful? Pus is disgusting. Do you know what a pus is?
No, not really. I know pimple.
Huh?
So
what did you say?
Not really. But I know what a pimple is.
Okay. Yeah. So if you've ever pressed a pimple, that whatever it is that comes out, that whitish or creamy substance that comes out, that's a pus. But that's not even really as bad. Usually, it can be more disgusting than that, actually.
Okay.
So now he says, yeah. So he uses a very disgusting analogy here, and it's It's just quite disgusting. Let me show you an example of how funny a pus can be. Or, well, disgusting, as we say it now. Okay, let me show you this picture. Can you see this?
Wow. Okay.
Now, tell me this is a beautiful pus. Is that beautiful? It's disgusting, right?
I think if it's a pus, then it won't be so beautiful. But if it's like in the picture, there's a butterfly coming out of it, then I guess it can be just slightly better.
Well, the butterfly analogy is different from this pus analogy. Okay, you can see it says, a beautiful butterfly emerging from a cocoon. That's brilliant. That's good. We all love that. But it says, or some beautiful pus squirting from the spot. So those are like two different things used to describe the same thing.
Oh,
You understand?
I understand.
Yeah, you understand. Yeah. So, there were people who worked really, really hard and didn't give up. They didn't even start out particularly brilliant. And that's true. I know, now, I have some family from a country, Nigeria. There's a man called Wole Soyinka. He's not the subject of today's discussion, but the man was not so brilliant. In fact, when he graduated from the university, he graduated with a very terrible grade. Today he's a professor, and he got the Nobel Prize in literature.
Okay.
Yes. But when he left university, he left with a very bad grade. Right? So he didn't start out brilliant. Okay? But he worked and worked and worked really hard and never gave up and got a Nobel Prize.
Yay. Okay.
So it's what it is. Do you know what the Nobel Prize is?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. Now, here again is Aunt Prunella says, that's disgusting. Delete it now. All right, now let's read this. Let's answer this question.
Why does the author use the pus metaphor instead of just the butterfly?
What do you think?
Well, maybe the author wanted to do a little joke, and at the same time, have a thing where maybe the butterfly represents as someone who wasn't like the most hated in where they live, but maybe the pus is someone that is really hated in where they live, and like what you said with the man with the bad grade on the university.
Yeah. Okay. I think I get what you're saying. I understand it. And it's a good interpretation also. But from this page now, you can see that what he's trying to say, basically, is no one is born a genius. Geniuses are made, not born. That's what he's trying to say.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I think I should write that down. That's a nice quote. Ooh. Teacher Francis dropping nice quotes.
Okay, so
Geniuses. Go on.
So
You wanted to say something?
yeah. So I think I got an idea of this where I don't know if this counts as born a genius. I think just kind of proves that actually geniuses, not all of them are made. Some of them might just be slightly smarter, but can't really count as a genius. Like, for example, there's this student in our school that everyone hates. They even make fun of him, but he is really smart. He could read math books during Chinese class, and at the same time he could also answer the questions correctly on the Chinese class, which is pretty impressive for most of the students. And no one saw that. They just saw a goofy, useless student, which I'm not sure that's actually what he is. I think he's pretty good, and I never really made fun of him. I just let him do what he does. The teacher doesn't like him really much either, but the teacher, especially, I think that the teacher both thinks that he is good and bad. I'm kind of confused by his impression with the teacher, but I'm very solidly sure that he is hated by all the students, and all the students make fun of him. So
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, there's something called the IQ. Okay. Have you heard about IQ before?
Yeah.
Intelligent quotient. Now, it's been scientifically proven that the IQ, intelligence quotient, is it can be genetic. Okay.
Okay.
It can be genetic. Not that it's always genetic, but it can be genetic. Now, if two smart people give birth to a child, now the brain has a higher potential of being very special. Now, that's just like a basis. That's like a foundation. Now, what you build on that foundation is what will now determine whether the boy will eventually be a genius or not. Now, if you have a very good brain that retains information well, but you don't read, you don't study, you'll just be a normal person, or even worse.
Oh.
Do you understand? So the brain, I think what Kay is trying to do is that the brain is more of what you do with it than what is given to you.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying now? So the boy in class, for instance, yeah, we can't argue. Most likely he has a good brain. He has good IQ. But I think it's also because he works on it. Maybe he has classes outside of class. Maybe whatever the teacher is teaching, he already learned it and he already knew it. He already practiced it hard. And the fact that he doesn't have many friends might mean that he has more time to himself to study.
All right.
Are we clear on that?
Mm-hmm.
But I have to appreciate the fact that you don't make fun of him. That's very good. Let's keep it up.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a good one.
My friend
I think you deserve a round of applause for that.
Okay, thanks. So,
Ooh!
thanks.
Go, Ivanka!
Thanks. My friend Melody,
you're welcome.
which is my best friend. So, once she was, I think it was on 3rd grade. Her seat is next to that smart boy's seat, and she would just constantly steal his stuff. And sometimes, so at that time, I didn't find out that smart boy was really smart. So, of course, when she asked me to help her, I helped because I'm not really smart I'm not genius with knowing everyone's facts in school. I'm not good at that. I just know certain people that I need to pay attention, and that's it. I don't really pay attention to people that I don't need to care about.
So you unintentionally assisted your friend in being naughty.
Yeah, kind of, but it's kind of like it's kind of funny that when the math teacher found out, Melody was all to take the blame. I didn't say anything to help her, but still, she was kind enough to not be mad at me.
Wow, that's a good friend. That's a good friend. Well, these are things that happen. Now, I noticed while you were talking, you said, like, for example, there's this smart boy in my class. Now, like, and for example, that's tautology, okay? So you can either decide to use like and don't use for example, or you can say for example and not use like, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's that on grammar. Now, let's go on. The first character, or the first person he talks about, he said he has 10 people he wants us to look at, but the first person he talks about is this person. Let me see if you can pronounce the name correctly.
Okay.
Let's go.
You'll meet Amelia Earhart. She flew across a huge ocean
That's
in a
good.
tiny plane all by herself. And back in the days when planes were basically made out of old bits of wood and looked like they might fall apart any moment. And worst of all, they didn't have any in-flight movies then.
All right. So she flew across a huge ocean in a tiny plane, all by herself. Now this sentence alone is a literary genius. Okay?
Yes.
A huge ocean and a tiny plane makes it look like she. Do you know the David and Goliath story?
No.
The David and Goliath story. Okay, so next time when you hear the word, that's a Goliath problem. So Goliath was a big guy, a huge guy. Okay, Goliath was basically a giant. I think in the Bible, because that's where the story is from. The story is from the Bible or the Talmud. Ancient Israel. You know the country called Israel?
No.
You don't know Israel? Okay, there's a country called Israel. I think it's in the Middle East. So, giant, Goliath was a giant. And there was this small boy called David. He was a teenager then. And he fought and won Goliath. So, David, a tiny boy, against Goliath, a giant. An experienced warrior who is a giant. That's who Goliath was. But David, a small boy, was able to conquer Goliath. So when you hear a David and Goliath problem, that's what it means. That means someone that should not be able to do something eventually gets it done. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what this sentence is trying to, or this clause is trying to do here. A huge ocean and a tiny plane.
Okay.
So that's very smart. That's a literary. I just wanted to point that out before we go on. So, go on. Back in the days when planes were basically made out of old bits of wood and looked like they might fall apart any moment. Now, were there times when the planes were made out of old bits of wood? Or do you think this is an exaggeration?
I think this might be half an exaggeration and half actually real because, well, you can certainly make planes with old bits of wood, but you can make it with wood, but probably not old bits of wood, so this is more of an exaggeration than a real thing.
Okay.
But it can still happen, I think.
Okay. Well, you're right. There were times initially planes were made of planes were made with wood, not entirely wood, but I mean lots of it was made with wood, wooden, at least the wings mostly, because they needed the wings to be quite light. So it says, and worst of all, so I think let's just read this, as this will help us understand what it's trying to say as we wrap up the class. Can you read that, please?
Okay, Ma. The